We're going to have this coming Thursday and the following Thursday. Is that right?
Yep.
So if you attend both of those sessions, I'm going to promise you two things. One is it's going to be like drinking out of the fire hose. It's going to be a lot of information, a lot of strategies, a lot of stuff to cover. But number two is you're going to have a hard time sleeping those nights because you're going to be in bed. You're going to be thinking about all the leads that you have, all the deals that you passed up, and your mind's going to be racing on how to monetize all the leads you already have.
Guys, listen up. Gals, listen up. I have a very special episode for you on today, right? In this market, we're having challenges finding deals, finding leads, and converting deals, right? So if you're out there, you're spending money on leads, or you're trying to break into real estate wholesaling or real estate in general, or you're trying to find your next rental property, in today's episode, I have my very special friend, Brandon Simmons, who does nothing but creative finance deals. That means seller finance, subject to, sandwich lease options, all kinds of creative deals. So listen to this episode, right? And listen to the end, because I got a very special gift that I want to give you towards the end, a free gift that I want you to be a part of. So come on, let's jump into this episode with Brandon Simmons on the We Love Equity Real Estate Show.
You're listening to the We Love Equity Real Estate Show, a podcast that discusses the intricacies of real estate investing with your host, Mrcs E. Maloney. Mrcs is a real estate investor best known for being the equity king. He's been awarded that moniker because he and his team find amazing real estate deals. He will be talking with investors who have done some transformational things in the real estate industry. They'll discuss their process, their strategies, and how their investments transform their lives and the communities they invest in. We welcome you to the We Love Equity Real Estate Show.
The We Love Equity Show is brought to you by ASREA, widely recognized as an outstanding resource for real estate investors with exceptional education, networking, and support, along with profit-enhancing benefits in all aspects of real estate investing. Visit ASREA at www.asrea.org. That's visit ASREA at www.azreia.org. Hello, what's up to another episode of the We Love Equity Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Mrcs Maloney, and I am so thankful and gracious that you are here listening to this show on today. Well, today we have a very, very special guest, close friend of mine, and actually I learned quite a bit from him when he was working with Sean Terry doing a lot of his acquisitions. So today, and I'm not going to go over his bio, I'm going to let him tell his story. But today we have Brandon Simmons on the show. If you don't know who Brandon Simmons is, I'm not sure where you've been at, but he is the creative finance guy. So if you want to know anything about seller finance, wraps, subjects twos, sandwich lease options, this is the guy. So if you want to know about doing creative deals, which you should, because in this market, you got to be able to do deals creatively, this is the person that you need to listen to. And I want you to stay to the end, because I'm going to give you a very special gift directly from Brandon, but you need to stay to the end in order to get this gift. So Brandon, man, how are you doing? What's up, man?
Good, man. Well, just sweltering here in Phoenix, right? It's been,
Yep.
I think we've had over 20 something days of over 110 degrees, but
Yep.
I guess this is the taxes and the penance we pay for having December, January, and February
Being beautiful. You know what? We can take this, right? Because majority of the time it's not like this. We have to go through late May, June, July, and part of August, right? Extremely hot. But the rest of the year is beautiful. So, hey, like you said, it's penance. I'll give it up for right now for what we're going to be seeing here in the next month or so.
Yeah, well, we're going into the fall soon, hopefully, and things will be a lot more temperate. But hey, you know what? Being here in Arizona, we can get to San Diego, we can go to Mexico, we can go up in the mountains. So we're close to a lot of stuff where we can get a little cooler temperature, so it's not too bad. So
there you go. There you go. So, Brandon, man, give us your backstory. Who is Brandon Simmons and why is Brandon Simmons doing creative deals in real estate?
well, thanks so much. And by the way, Marcus, you're an amazing person, just amazing human being. He's one of the best go-givers, one of the best coaches that I know. He actually talks the talk, walks the walk, and actually loves to help and give back. You and Mike have done a lot with the Arizona Real Estate Investor Association. I know that you stayed so busy. So thanks so much for having me on the podcast and stuff first.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank
You bet, man. My background, I moved to Arizona back in 2009, and I found a podcast in 2010 called Flip to Freedom. And this guy was talking about how to wholesale real estate. And just to let you know how old this was, I was actually listening to this podcast on my BlackBerry. So,
Oh, wow. Okay. I had a BlackBerry. I used to love that BlackBerry. Man.
I love the BlackBerry, right?
First phone where you could get emails, right? I felt like a professional.
Yeah. And so the guy who was doing the podcast, his name was Sean Terry. And I found out that Sean actually lived out here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I got to talk to Sean, and he would have these little small meetups, like 8 to 10 of us, maybe 5 or 6, not too many, like at Paradise Bakery or a Panera Bread or something. And he would explain how to get into wholesaling, how to write out these yellow letters, and how to find motivated sellers. And so at the time I was working like 60 hours a week, 6 days a week at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. I was in the mortgage industry. And I was like, you know what? I've been learning about this, trying to do some marketing. I just decided to write down on a little index card, just like this, I'm going to make $5,000 in the next 30 days, which happened to be my birthday, and through wholesaling. So I did everything I could. I didn't have a lot of money for marketing. So I went to Craigslist and I'd write down all the phone numbers of the for sale by owners, and I'd call them on my lunch break and on my commutes and stuff like that. And lo and behold, I found someone that was willing to sell their house. So I got the deal under contract, reached out to Sean. I said, hey, I don't know what to do. I don't have any buyers. He's like, oh, no problem. I got a lot of buyers. Let's just do a joint venture. So we joint ventured on my very first wholesale deal. We sold it. It closed, and I made $5,500 on my first wholesale deal the day after my birthday. So 31 days, I made $5,500. That was game changing, though. It was just so eye opening to me how you can make this type of money through real estate. And so lo and behold, I would do deals off and on, and I was still working a full-time job. And then a couple of years down the road, Sean reached out to me and he offered me a job. And at this time I was working for another mortgage company, and I had what's called like the golden handcuffs, like getting paid really good money, didn't really want to leave, had good benefits and stuff. Talk to the owner of the company and say, hey, if it doesn't work out, you can always come back. And looking back, that was the big leap of faith, but I was so glad I did. My very first year working in real estate full time as a W-2 employee, I made over $175,000. So it was like no going back. I was like full on in. Kind of fast forward, I worked for Sean. I did dispositions where I sold all the wholesale deals we had. We would kind of average over 100 properties a year, 100, 110, 120, somewhere around there for the next 4 or 5 years. And I would do dispositions, I did acquisitions, and then I became the COO of the company, basically ran the real estate side of the company, especially while he was on trips and vacations, hiring and firing, creating systems and processes and all that good stuff. And then I went to decide to go and start my own business. And during that time I was doing the transition, Sean reached out to me again and he said, hey, what if we did coaching together? That's one of the things he wasn't really offering at the time. He decided to partner with me, and we created a coaching program called the First Check Challenge on how to help wholesalers how to get their first check. We've had, I think, well over 500 people go through that now. Wow. Amazing. It's been a big blessing. It's a lot of learning curve as a coach to realize that there's different personality types. People want to set goals and have certain expectations, and you got to kind of figure out how to coach and teach people and encourage them when it's the right time to encourage them, and kind of get after them when they need a little kick in the butt. But one of the things that's always been a lot of fun for me is the creative side, because when we were doing 10, 12 deals a month, I would say 2 to 4 of these deals would be some sort of creative financing deal, some sort of subject to
Okay.
wrap, seller financing, stuff like that. And so when I started to do a mastermind with a lot of the local wholesalers, we call it the REI mastermind, but everyone nicknames it the Go Giver, because everyone in that mastermind that I've never charged for, but it's invite only, were all the up and coming full-time real estate wholesalers, people that you may know: Steve Trang, Cody Sperber, Sean Terry, Carlos Reyes, Sal Shakur, the owners of Batch Skip Tracing, Evo, Annie and Jesse, Jared Vidalis, Brent Daniels, Pace Morby. So amazing opportunity to be in the room with so many people and just sharing and helping each other become just better business owners, better wholesalers, better investors. And one of the things I realized, Marcus, is we could have 100 people in that room and only 3 or 4 knew these creative type of strategies.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, you're just leaving so much money on the table.
Yep.
So it was a big eye-opening to me. So I really just went into full swing and love to help all those big-time business owners implement this type of creative strategies into their acquisitions procedures and with their teams and stuff, and just seeing them do way more deals, be able to hold on to properties and cash flow properties just by using some of these simple strategies. So it's been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, and you know what, Brandon, you hit on a few key things, man. When you first got started, you said you just reached out to people for sale by owner. So guys, you all that's listening, if you don't have this huge marketing budget or something like that, right? Go to fizbo.com, salebyowner.com, and you can call those people. Those people already have their hands up saying, I want to sell, and I want to sell without a real estate agent. So that's your opportunity to open up the door and get right in there with those sellers. And then another thing you said, Brandon, was getting started. You know what? You met Sean Terry, you heard him on the podcast, his podcast, and you said, let me try and work with this guy, bring him a deal. And you guys JV'd on that deal. Just think if you wouldn't have JV'd on that deal with Sean and you said, you know what, I'm gonna try and figure this out all by myself, where do you think you would be?
Oh man, it would be a lot slower to get to the results where I'm at right now. I mean, maybe with the drive and stuff like that, maybe I could still get to this position, but probably a lot farther down the road. I think that mentorship and coaches and people that help you along the way, it's so well needed. If you think about like the best athletes in the world, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, like all these people have coaches, all of them have mentors, all of them have people on their teams that help them become elite at their different professions. So I think it's important. Like, I'm glad that I have great mentors. I still pay for mentorship. I still pay for coaching even today.
Yeah, it's very important. It's very important. But what you said, and this is one of the things that I want to drive home, is that wholesaling works, right? But what happens when the traditional, hey, get the property at 50 cents on the dollar and sign it? What happened when that don't work? Like you said, you were in this mastermind with all of these high-level players, and they were throwing deals away because they didn't know how to structure creative deals. So what gave you the angst, Brandon, to say, you know what, I really want to learn creative financing and creative deal structure?
Well, you know, I've always been involved. So just to name a couple of my mentors and coaches, Sean is by far one of the most influential coaches and mentors I've ever had in real estate, Sean Terry, with Foot to Freedom. Guys like Joe McCall, Claude Diamond, Wendy Patton, Todd Toback, so many more, like Ron LeGrand. There's people who've been around. There's even older guys that have already passed that knew their stuff like you wouldn't believe. So Jack Miller with options and stuff like that. So this stuff isn't brand new. This isn't just come onto the stage in the last few months because of interest rates or anything like that. This stuff has been around for decades and years and over 100 years on some of the stuff like land contracts and stuff like that. So this has been an amazing opportunity to be able to share these creative strategies with wholesalers that, I mean, they invest a lot of money into their marketing, into their team, into their development. And it's almost like I've done a lot of seminars and I've done a lot of presentations and helped different groups. But it's amazing whenever you see the light bulb go off and they get it. I don't know if you ever seen those videos of the people, like whenever they put on the colorblind sunglasses and then they see like colors for the first time. It's like whenever you go and you learn creative financing, it's like putting on those colorblind glasses and then you realize, wow, there's the deal right there. This is a deal. That's a potential deal. And you didn't see it before, but now all of a sudden you see all these opportunities around you.
And Brandon, and it takes that expert eye, right? Because I mean, honestly, I've been doing wholesaling for over a decade, right? And it took me just recently, the past few years, to really start looking at deals creatively, because I was like, well, during the time I was like, yeah, I don't need creative finance. I don't want to try and make it harder than what it already is. But then when I look back, there was so many deals that I could have done that I wish I would have done, that I started calling those people back like, hey, you still got the property? Are you still interested in selling? I got a new offer for you. I can do something different. And that's why it's important for you guys to learn this stuff in the beginning, up front, because you will be able to get so close, so much further, faster with creative finance deals than just the traditional wholesale. One of the things that Mike always say is a cash offer works until it doesn't, right? So when it doesn't, what can you do? And that's the reason why I wanted to have you on a podcast today, Brandon, is because you're well versed with seller finance, subject to lease options, sandwich lease options, all of that kind of stuff. So that's what I want to focus on today. And I want to introduce people to some of these creative strategies. So let's just pick anyone you want to talk about, and let's kind of talk about what it is, how you structure it, and kind of what's the conversation with the seller.
Well, one of the ones it's out there right now is seller financing or owner financing. That's basically where the seller carries back a mortgage, no deed of trust. They basically they become the bank. They become Chase Bank or Wells Fargo, and you work directly with them and you make payments to them. You can use a third-party note servicing company and all that fancy stuff. But the reality is basically they own the property free and clear, no loans. And they're saying, yes, I'll sell it to you and you can make payments. And a lot of the folks that I bought all my rental properties using this strategy before COVID, right? And it was amazing because one of the things about it is they love it. They make interest off of it. They sell the property at top dollar without commissions. And not only that, they end up making a lot more in the long run by carrying that note. It's almost like having an annuity for them. And a lot of times when it's time to pay off that note or refinance, they don't want to. A lot of times, hey, can you can you keep going, or can you use the funds on another property or something like that?
Because it's basically, right? So you have all of these other wholesalers calling, let's just say Jim as an example. Jim owned his property and is completely paid off. And the property is worth, just say $300,000. And you have all of these other people that know that Jim doesn't have a note on his property. And these other wholesalers are calling him saying, hey, Jim, I can offer you $150,000 for the house. I can offer you 160, 140. Everybody is in that range. How would you make that offer to Jim, knowing that, hey, he has massive amounts of equity in that property?
Well, the number one, sometimes they need the money for something else. So I don't force anyone to do it. I just got to make sure it's a good fit. And I do that by asking simple questions, like what are they going to do with the proceeds, or what are their plans? But the one thing that I try to find out is these people are not typically financially distressed. 4 out of 10 houses in the US are owned free and clear. There's no mortgage on them. They're paid off. They're not your financially distressed. They're not behind on taxes. Typically, they're not like going to foreclosure. It's owned free and clear. So you got to answer the number one question when it comes to all this creative real estate and creative financing strategies is what's in it for them. As wholesalers, investors, we always got to answer the question, what's in it for us? What's in it for us? But it's almost flipping that script and figuring out what's in it for them. So if you can answer the question, what's in it for them, why it's a benefit to them, then it'll make sense. And a lot of times I love to just have them use the calculator, write out all the numbers on a sheet of paper with me. And I make them do the calculations a lot of times, and they're selling the house for $300,000. And then they're like, wait a second, in 10 years, I'm going to make $450,000.
Yep.
it's almost like a magic trick or something. And it's almost disbelief. So you're going from $150,000 cash offer to making $450,000. It's almost a no-brainer for most of them.
Yeah, and then especially when you clearly, well, first of all, let me go back. So again, one of the things that you said key there is most wholesalers, they're looking for the problem. What's the problem? And I teach this myself. Find the problem and become an answer to that problem, right? But when you have somebody that have a free and clear property, they're not in any financial situation, distress, they really don't have a problem. So why do they want to sell the property? And sometimes they may not want to sell the property, but if you position it like you're talking about, Brandon, they will see the benefit of, hey, you know what, this property is worth $300,000, but this guy, according to the numbers, is willing to pay me $450,000 for the property. And it still makes sense for both parties. It's a win-win.
100%. And even if the property is fixed up perfectly and they sold it on the regular real estate market, usually there's 8 to 10% cost of sale with commissions and closing costs and concessions and helping with buying down the rates. So by the time they walk away, they're not making 300,000, they're making like 270 or something like that. That's best case scenario. And a lot of times I like to show them like, hey, this is something that's going to be beneficial to you. This is something that can be inherited by your heirs if you decide to, if something happens to you, or you. Another thing too is if they own it free and clear and they created a note. We don't talk about this, but one of my favorite movies is on Disney Plus. It's called The Banker, just Samuel L. Jackson's in it. And it's about the other side of the desk, being on the other side of the desk and becoming the bank and figuring out how that is so profitable as well. We don't think about it, but all the biggest buildings in most downtown areas are banks. If you look at the top, US Bank, Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, right? They're all owned by the banks because they understand one thing, and that's interest. Those who understand it, earn it. Those who don't, pay it.
True.
So,
say that again one more time, Brandon.
But I think that's Einstein, by the way, but it says, those who understand interest earn it. Those who don't, pay it.
There you go. And a lot of people are in the paying category, right? A lot of people pay interest. And we're fighting right now over how much interest should we pay? Should it be 5%? Should it be 7%? Interest rates just went up again. Should it be 8%? Should it be 4%? Well, why not be on the other side of the table where you can gain the interest on an asset? And
people don't realize, but those private owners, they can sell that note. They can sell part of the note. That's a whole other ball game that it's a lot to dive down. But Eddie Speed is one of the mentors I learned a lot of the note game from, and it's just simple as a promissory note, promise to pay an IOU. That note can be some form of collateral too, if you need it for something else.
So guys, you all that's listening, and you're always talking about, hey, it's hard to find deals out here. Nobody's taking your offer at 40 to 60 cents on the dollar. Here's another few strategies that you can use to still lock up properties and make money on these properties without ever owning them, right? So we talked about seller finance. What about, Brandon? I know a lot of people are talking about Sub2, right?
Well, there's a great article that just came out yesterday on the Wall Street Journal. And it said, the title of it says, buyers are getting home loans from unlikely source, the seller of the house. And so if you think about it, about 20 to 25% of US homeowners have properties that are 3% or below right now. Mortgage rate of 3% or below right now. Right now, the average mortgage interest rate as of today is over 7%. So that same house, you can buy the house for the same price, but if you can buy it with that note on the property with that lower interest rate, your payments are going to be more than half than what you'd be paying if you went and got a new loan from a bank today.
So Brandon, let's break it down to its simplest compound, right? So what is subject to investing? Kind of give us the definition.
So it's buying a house that has a loan in place. So you're buying it subject to the existing loan. Buying the
Okay.
house to just now being an underwriter and being my background being mortgages, there's actually on the HUD-1 settlement statement, there's actually a little column on there where it shows where the loan you're buying the house subject to, where the existing loan is in place. So this has been around for years. And I know that there's a lot of worries about the due on sale clause on certain notes. There's a lot of private notes that don't have due on sale clauses. And most of the time, if you do it a certain way, there's no real red flags. It doesn't really set off tons of alarm bells for the banks and stuff like that. And most of the time, you can do this legally. There's no due on sale clause jail or anything like that.
Okay.
It's just the term that they have on the note. But there's ways to buy properties. If you are, say, you're just buying your own home, you're not an investor. FHA loans and VA loans are 100% assumable legally. You can go, Marcus want to go buy a house in Queen Creek down the road, and there's a nice 3.5% interest rate, and you're buying under your own name. You can actually, and you're the homestead owner, right? You can actually buy that and get a fully assumable FHA or VA loan if there's a loan on that right there.
So, yep. So guys, so subject to, like Brandon said, is I want to go and buy a house subject to the existing financing that's already in place. So the seller already have been approved for the property, the financing is in place. Me, Marcus, I'm just going to say, okay, Mr. Seller, I want to buy this house, but I'm just going to assume your loan. So now instead of me paying 8% for a mortgage, going to get qualified, I just take over that 3.5% loan, which is a benefit for me, and it's a benefit for the seller. So one of the things, Brandon, people may say is, well, why would anybody want to do that?
Well, first of all, so if you're just assuming the loan, like traditional owner occupant, it doesn't hurt the seller whatsoever. In fact, if you go on MLS right now, Marcus, you'll see tons and tons. You just use this phrase, assumable loan, right? So many real estate agents now are marketing properties with assumable loans. The second thing, as an investor, you can't necessarily assume that loan if you're buying under LLC and stuff like that. So a lot of times you have to buy it subject to, basically under LLC or on a wrap. And I prefer the wrap. In fact, most real estate attorneys, most title companies, most of the professionals prefer the wraps, and especially from being in the underwriting world and the mortgage world, it does two things. Number one, you're creating a new loan.
Wait, Brandon. Wait. You're going too fast.
Sorry.
Let's not go into wraps just yet, right?
Okay.
Because I mean, it's good stuff. Trust me, it's good stuff. And guys, you want to make sure you understand all of this. So I want to make sure we have enough time to go over that. So far, we went over seller financing, right?
Yeah.
And we went over subject to investing. So we're going to take a brief break. Hear a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to talk about wraps.
Beautiful. Let's do it.
So that way everybody can understand exactly what a wrap is. So we'll be right back. Let's hear a word from our sponsor, and we will be back.
Are you tired of seeing others becoming successful real estate investors and you just don't know where to start? You see all the Instagram posts of others being successful. You see the Facebook ads guaranteeing instant success. You look at tons of YouTube videos, and you even attend seminars just to be tricked into $10, $20, or even $30,000 courses. Well, with the Deal Finders Club, my husband is here to change things for you. Have you said to yourself, I'm deadly afraid to talk to sellers and I have no confidence. I don't know where to find motivated sellers. I don't know where to get a contract from. I don't know how much to offer the seller, let alone where I'm going to get the money from to close the deal. Well, in the Deal Finders Club, Marcus and his partner Mike are going to show you how to overcome all those challenges and more. Find out how by going to azdfc.com. That's azdfc.com. We'll see you inside. Finding real estate deals can be a challenge, but with Batch Leads, it doesn't have to be. Batch Leads has created a one-stop solution for all your real estate needs, so you can find more sellers, close more deals, and maximize revenue. Batch Leads offers a comprehensive suite of lead-generating tools that cover text messaging, skip tracing, finding comps, and much more. Batch Leads help you simplify, manage, and organize all your data in one place. Batch will help you stack your lists and identify properties that appear on multiple lists and have multiple distress indicators. These sellers are likely to be highly motivated and eager to sell. Get the most powerful and complete lead generation platform in the industry. Locate sellers, buyers, and lenders nationwide in seconds. Go to batchlead.io and use promo code WeLoveEquity.
Okay, guys, we are back with Brandon Simmons, the creative finance specialist. And again, prior to the break, we talked about seller finance. We talked about subject twos. So now we're going to talk about wraps. There's different kind of wraps. So Brandon, kind of help me understand and help the listeners understand, what is a wrap?
Yeah, let me just backtrack a second on the subject two. So on the subject two, what happens is the loan actually still does stay in place with the seller, but the deed, or a lot of people think of it as the title, the ownership property, the paper with the says their name is the owner, that's where you actually take receipt of the property. You actually own that property, but the loan will still stay in the seller's name, and now I'm the owner. Now, the reason why one of my favorite strategies is wraps, it protects the seller, number one, and most real estate attorneys prefer wraps. They feel like it's a subject to strategy. It's all the same process. It's just different paperwork is all it is. And so it protects the seller because they can actually get the property back in case you stop making payments. Otherwise, the deed is transferred over, and it's really hard to get the recourse is very difficult for that without any other instruments in there. But a wrap, you create a loan that mimics or mirrors the loan that they have with the bank. And so now they have a loan between you, the investor, and themselves. And that debt that they have, that note that they have with you, actually shows the income coming in that offsets the debt they have with the bank. So it does two things. One, protects them as an owner. So in case you stop making payments, they get the property back. Number two, it makes it so much easier for them to qualify for another loan down the road if they want to.
Yeah, because if you're doing the subject to, again, guys, that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, that note, that loan is still in the seller's name.
Yes.
The deed is just in your name. So if they go to try and go and get another loan, that prior loan is going to show up on their credit history.
Yep. 100%. As an underwriter, that's one of the things we did. Most of the big underwriting companies that underwrite like regular traditional mortgages, if they see that there's a 12-month payment history, it's easier for them to kind of offset that and to be able to get you qualified for that loan. But what's interesting, whenever you have a wrap, they actually have a loan with the investor or you, right? And that mimics the debt that they have with the bank. So it offsets the debt to income ratio is zero.
Okay.
There is zero debt hitting their credit report or on their debt to income ratio, so they can actually qualify for another house a lot easier. So why wouldn't we want to help out the seller if they're helping us?
Yeah, and that's the most important part right there, is make it a win-win beneficial transaction for all parties. So Brandon, now with the wrap and with the subject to, how do you explain this to the seller, right? Because a lot of sellers and a lot of investors still don't even quite understand wraps and subject to and stuff like that. So how do you have that conversation to where it's to the lowest common denominator to make it as plain as possible so they understand it and that they will be able to say yes? Because a confused mind says no, right? So if you start saying wraps and subject twos and this is what we're going to do, they'll be like, wait, hold on.
I don't even use that terminology with sellers. I don't.
Okay, good.
I keep it very simple. Hey, look, you already have a loan on the property. I'm just going to take over and making the payments for you.
As simple as that.
I'm going to just take it over and I'll make the payments for you. I'll take care of the property. If anything happens to the AC, the hot water heater, it's on me, not you.
Okay. Now, who is this beneficial? Not who is this beneficial for, but what kind of sellers is this more beneficial towards?
Well, so wraps, we did a ton of wraps with a lot of financially distressed folks, people that were going to foreclosure or people that were falling behind on payments.
Okay.
Ones with low equity, they didn't have a lot of equity. So even if they hired a realtor to sell the property, they would have to come out of pocket a lot of times to pay the commissions and the closing costs. Most of these properties, and this may be a little mind-boggling for people, but you can get these houses absolutely for free, Marcus. A lot of times you can get these houses for free. A lot of times they're behind on payments.
Mhm.
A lot of times there's not enough equity. You can say, look, I'll just take it over. I'm going to help your credit. And a lot of times you can even agree to cash it out and refinance it within like have a balloon payment within like 5 or 10 years or something. But a lot of times you're helping them out anyway. It's going to go to foreclosure if you don't step in and help them. So a lot of times these are very easy to do. Most of these properties and markets, we've done literally hundreds of these. When I worked for Sean Terry, we can contract under any property as long as we didn't spend more than $5,000 as a down payment. So that was my go-to, 5,000. I do that all the time. Then we had this amazing sales guy that came in and he was getting them for like $3,000 down, $1,000 down. I'm like, how are you doing that? He's like, I don't even bring them down payment. I'm like, oh my gosh. It was just like a big epiphany for me.
So you were just saying, hey, look, you're in this situation. We'll take over the note, save your credit. That way you can move on. We'll make sure the note is paid and everything like that. And they'll receive some kind of verification that the note is paid. And you just don't bring up the down payment and everybody's happy. It's a win-win.
Yes. And a lot of these, you can actually become a landlord and have one of these properties with a loan in place for less than $5,000 out of your pocket. A lot of times I've done this so many times. It was shocking. It's just almost the disbelief in our mind that I think prohibits us or is like a roadblock for us. But realizing that if you help the person in front of you, it could be a win-win solution and you can get into it, not a lot of money out of pocket too.
Yeah, and that's the mind-blowing thing there, Brandon, is because we set up these mental roadblocks. Well, why would anybody want to do this? Why would anybody want to do this? But like you said, you've done hundreds of them. And it's just knowing how to frame that conversation. And guys, that's one of the things that I'm personally inviting Brandon to be with my Deal Finders Club to show everyone exactly how to do this. So it's going to be 2 days and it's strictly online, right? So it'll be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'm welcoming you guys to come on so you can learn how to do wraps and subject twos. What else are you going to be teaching, Brandon?
Lease options. It's one of my favorite strategies that are it's totally underrated. Even the best creative financing gurus don't even talk about this that much. What I found out, it's the way to get your foot in the door to kind of create that relationship. And you can even set it up where you're getting credit or you're getting a discount on the purchase price when you actually exercise that lease option. But a lot of times these deals turn into seller carrybacks. They turn into wraps. They turn into those long-term ownership type of strategies. But you can actually take a property on a lease option and you can turn around and you can keep that property as a rental property, have the right to sublease it and make cash flow on it.
So that's making money, right? Without using your own money.
You don't even have to own the house. You don't even have to own the property.
I mean, how simple is that, guys? So if you're listening, we just went over 4 strategies where you don't have to have a ton of money, right? You don't have to have a ton of money and you don't have to make a lowball offer in order to get these properties and control these properties, right? Yeah. So these are some steps, complex steps that Brandon is going to be showing you all how to do it, and it's completely free. And I just want to welcome you, Brandon, because I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be taking notes. You already see, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, I got my pen in my hand right now, writing down some of these strategies. Yes, I'm familiar with a lot of them, but each time I talk to Brandon, I learn something new and I figure something else out. Brandon.
Yes, sir.
So seller finance, subject to, lease options, wraps. We didn't even talk about sandwich lease options. So what else are you going to be doing during these 2 days online that you're going to show us? I know something about your phone melting, something like that.
Yeah, we can make your phone melt. So the most important thing is you got to have people to talk to. And the biggest excuse that I found with a lot of my students, a lot of my clients is, I just don't have money for marketing, or I don't know what to do. And so a lot of these strategies can be done with free leads or super cheap leads. We'll show you strategies that you can implement and have your phone ring off the hook and literally melt the same day. But most importantly, you can do these deals whether they have a ton of equity or no equity. I'll make two promises. If you attend both of those sessions, because we're going to have this coming Thursday and the following Thursday, is that right?
Yep.
So if you attend both of those sessions, I'm going to promise you two things. One is it's going to be like drinking out of the fire hose. It's going to be a lot of information, a lot of strategies, a lot of stuff to cover. But number two is you're going to have a hard time sleeping those nights because you're going to be in bed. You're going to be thinking about all the leads that you have, all the deals that you passed up, and your mind's going to be racing on how to monetize all the leads you already have.
Yeah. So that, like you said, Brandon, that's one of the hardest problems is where do I get leads? How do I get leads? You're going to have these leads coming in to people. So inbound leads, people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for inbound leads. I'm guilty. I'm one of them, spending money for inbound and outbound leads. Yeah. Brandon is going to show you how to do this for a fraction of the cost on how to get these leads coming in. And then once you get these leads coming in, he's going to show you how to monetize each lead so you can make money from them. So this Thursday, August 3rd and August 10th, I want you to be on Zoom. We're going to have the link in the bio and in the show notes below. And then also, if you're looking at this on Instagram or on Facebook, we got the link in the show notes. So you got to be there. I'm just telling you, you're going to learn so much in these 4 hours to where you're going to say, man, I wish I would have knew this a lot sooner and a lot earlier. And this is not just for people that are just getting started. So if you're a fix and flipper or you're a wholesaler that's already doing deals, but your deal flow has shrinked, because of the state of the market, right, you need to learn how to do these creative finance deals.
I agree. And Marcus, thank you so much. Because I think what you're doing is you're providing ways to help all those people that follow you, that follow Mike, that are in Azaria, and all the investors that are trying to kind of get traction, or maybe things have stalled. These are all solutions that are going to be helping them. And you will be able to monetize this if you implement, like anything else, if you implement some of these strategies, whether it's you want to be a landlord, you can be a landlord. If you just want to make assignment fees and wholesale deals, so much easier. Oh my gosh. Imagine like having triple the amount of buyers calling you up and having your phone melt because you have this awesome creative financing deal.
There you go. So you guys, you know exactly what to do. Go down in the show notes, grab the link, and we will see you Thursday, August 3rd and August 10th, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Brandon is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Mike is going to be there. So that's over 2 decades of experience talking about real estate, how to get deals, how to get your first deal, how to increase your rental portfolio, how to scale your business. This is one of the things that we want to do, and we want to offer you, again, completely free. I think we're out of our minds, Brandon, but we're go-givers. That's what you believe. That's what you stand on. And that's what I stand on. And that's our foundation. So we want to offer that to our listeners.
Well, I appreciate it. And it's been a blessing to me because I always feel like there's reciprocity. Yep. Because once you learn these strategies, what's amazing is you think you're giving everything away. But in reality, a lot of people are like, hey, I want to do a deal with you, Brandon. I have this potential deal. Can you help me out? Can we joint venture? So now I'm doing more deals without spending all this extra marketing dollars because I'm the designated hitter in that market. And you can be too. All of you can be.
There you go. So you know what to do. This is the We Love Equity Real Estate Show. Feel free. Give us a 5-star review if you like the content. But most importantly, I want you to be there August 3rd, August 10th, 6 p.m. Let's fill the room for Brandon. Let's make sure everybody is there, and have your pencil, pen, iPad, notebooks ready to take notes, because he's going to show you a lot of stuff, and we're going to all be ready to go out and execute on the information he shared. So thank you so much, Brandon. I really appreciate you, and I will see you Thursday.
Awesome. Thanks, Marcus. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to today's show. I picked up some great actionable items, and I'm sure you did as well. If so, let me know. You can always reach me via social media at facebook.com/MRCS Maloney. Twitter at MRCS Maloney, and of course, IG at MRCS Maloney. You can also always reach me via email at mmaloney@equityri.com. Make sure you reach out to our guests as well. You can always find their contact information in the show notes below. If you have not subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Join the family. And while you're at it, leave us a 5-star review. This is how we tell if we're providing you with what you need for your journey. If there's someone you would like for me to interview, or if there's a subject matter you would like for me to cover, please let me know. Finally, if you're looking for additional information about real estate investing, go to equityrealestateblog.com. Also, youtube.com/Marcus Maloney. Until next time, family, always enjoy the journey.